Hello, hello, hello. It's your new day with Donna Reiners and Dr. Cami Owen, where we solve all the world's problems, or maybe just one. And maybe it's yours. In our 30 minutes, we talk about your emotions and mind and how they tie into your body and spirit. We want you to renew and restore yourself in a world that wants you crazy. And sometimes we even talk about money. Introducing your hosts, Donna Reiners and Dr. Cami Owen. Hello, hello, hello. This is Donna Reiners and
Dr. Cami.
And we are here on our new furniture. Yay for us.
It's so comfy. I love it.
So we're having our show in our living room, which honestly, if you watch all the TV shows and all that they're doing, they're usually on some kind of comfy furniture in some kind of studio somewhere. Yeah. So welcome to this. I was telling her, I said I had painting as therapy in my living room for 2 years once. So I painted in my living room, put a tarp down. So why not, right? Anywho, today we're going to get kind of personal because isn't that what we do already?
Yes.
So at this time, I have a sister who is, not doing real well physically and mentally, emotionally. She's had some real difficult seasons, had some real strong trauma about 20 plus years ago that started a road where she literally had to be put on disability because she's no longer able to drive, no longer able to do a lot of things. And now she's really at a place where she can no longer cook and that kind of thing. She's barely able to support her legs, which is interesting. On the scan, it showed her ankles. One only thing. Usually there's like 10 things. It only showed one thing. So, there's a lot of emotional things in that versus just physical. But anyhow, I thought that we would talk about a subject that a lot of people don't talk about because they don't share their personal. They just share science and practical things. But the process of dying, the aging process takes place technically, probably mid-30s or so, and it declines if your body is not supported the way it needs to be for the next 60 years or whatever. And trauma can certainly cause your body to age. Stress causes the body to age. The stress of trauma, not even the trauma itself. After the trauma, there's a stress from the trauma that causes the body to age because the mind, isolation, all sorts of things go into place. And anyhow, my other sister is our sister's official caregiver. I know it seems like I'm all over the planet, but I'm really not right now. It's just difficult to talk about, but I really feel like we need to because maybe you are watching someone go through something that is devastating your heart. It could be watching someone's physical body literally die or watching their mind go. I have a client whose wife has the strong symptoms of dementia. And she got to a place where she decided, while she's still in her right mind, and she still is semi in her right mind, decided, look, I would like to go ahead and move into a care facility. And he's like, why? And she's like, I just want to. And she didn't want to do anything to care for herself. She didn't want to do any technology that would help maybe remove inflammation or help her in any way to lengthen her life or to help her be healthy. She really chose to move in agreement with being cared for and letting her body go through the stages without any kind of support. It's troubling to the gentleman. They've been married almost 40 years, so, and he's extremely healthy and
looks after his health and does specific things for his health and is watching the goodness come from all those things. Mm-hmm. And he's excited about life and living. And and yet his partner of many years is moving a different direction. So he's watching that take place, and he's needing to reinvent himself because he, in a practical way, he also recognizes that one day she will not be there. And who is he without her?
Yeah.
And my sister, who cares for my other sister more so, we've talked about what will she do mm-hmm. when the person she's cared for 25 years is gone. Not only is she her sister, but close friend, you know. And so I just want to encourage you, for me, I believe that the God who created us is the reason that humanity breathes. I believe it's literally the breath of God, not just some mechanical operation of our body systems. I mean, there's a light that flashes when you're birthed, literally born, you know, and I personally believe the light was already there, but perspective is everything. And so I do see that this process that she's been going through isn't something she wanted to go through. Something that we have definitely taken strides over the years to help her either be supported or help her process emotions or physically help her strengthen. And now, you know, she's just in a different stage of the process. So I just want to encourage you. Clearly, I need encouragement. That life happens. And helping yourself walk through the process when life is happening is very important. And there's I know a couple people myself, actually. I know someone, and I'd like to interview her one day. I know someone whose daughter committed suicide. And it was just, what the heck, you know? And and she barely shed a tear. For her, at the end of the day, the bottom line was, you know, I can't bring her back, and I can choose to be miserable, or I can move forward in my life and basically bear fruit for the rest of my life. That, you know, those are not her words, those are my words, concisely saying she just decided she was just going to be happy and move on. And it wasn't that she didn't miss and doesn't still. Yeah. It isn't that. Yep. I think that there's a pain that's so deep sometimes that it's deeper than tears, it's deeper than words, it's deeper than misery, it's deeper than depression, it's deeper than anything, so deep that there's no need to live there because it's already living in you. And so just keep moving forward. And I know, and that's her perspective. And then I know this other man, years ago, he lost his entire family. This is a gentleman in another country. Lost his entire family. There was a bombing or something. A country where they endure things that we don't perhaps think about here in the States. And he too did not shed a tear. And for him, and where he was at was, he was all about the religion of saving everybody. And so he's like, well, I'm just going to keep fulfilling my purpose. And he just kept moving without batting an eye. It didn't mean that he didn't hurt. None of those things. It's just that for him, he's like, I know my purpose. I'm going to stay in the lane of my purpose. And I'm going to keep moving. And so at the time I thought, at the time I was like, wow, that's impressive. How can you do that? Mm-hmm. How do you do that? And then I thought, well, people die without purpose. Mm-hmm. So good for him, regardless of whether I would agree or not agree with that purpose, he kept moving. Mm-hmm. And so I've watched other people I know, especially this one that so dear to my heart, over time, when you lose your ability to connect with people, you lose some of the brain stops functioning the way it used to, and you lose some of these capabilities, you just kind of lose the ability to even have a purpose, see? Unless someone gives you some towels to fold or someone gives you something that they can do until they can't even do that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so these are difficult things. And if I were you, I'd be thinking, well, where's the hope? Well, hello, could you tell me something to be happy about? My point is that I don't believe that life ends when we die. I really believe that there's an extenuation of life. For me, I believe that the Christ within continues moving. And I know our pastor, his dying words to her were, there's one voice. Listen for the one voice. Listen to the one voice. Because he was already connected with the one voice. And there was no fear in where he was headed. There was no fear of that, because he knew that voice was leading him into the next space, whether it's a dimension or whether you pop in, you're in another country, I don't know, but I just want to encourage you. I've had to really encourage myself because, of course, I'm going to miss my sister's presence. But I already missed the person she was anyway.
Yeah.
See, I want to encourage you that there is life after the death of this planet. There's life that continues. And I personally don't believe that it matters what you believe. I believe that God lives within us and that there's life within us that takes us forward because we're all spirit beings, Well, anything stirred up in you while I was talking?
Well, I've been in this world for a really long time of watching and helping and facilitating people making this transition. You know, I did that in the emergency room thousands of times, like really. And, I think about it back then, even I was not as aware as I am now, but intuitively I was aware because there's a much higher place in me that is always aware, as all of us. There's whether we're conscious of it or not, it's still there. And I believe it's the God within, Christ within, whatever word you want to use, that knowingness, that's always been there. And I remember seeing people that were terrified of that transition. And I remember intuitively knowing it's just you forgot. Because once you get over there, you'll oh yeah, I remember now. Yeah, it's not a big deal. And that I believe that we don't have a soul, we are a soul. And we're just having this experience here we can get in a whole debate about why that is and everything. It doesn't really matter. We're here, we're doing it, so it is what it is. But just like with my brother, it's been just a little over a month that it's been the anniversary of my brother taking his life last October. And, it hit me way differently than I thought it would, but it still was connecting me back to, we were disconnected when I would say we were disconnected. He was not connected to anybody.
Not as close as normal.
Well, he wasn't really connected to anybody. He was very disconnected from who he is and what his purpose is and all that. And, I don't pretend to get in his head, what he was doing or not thinking, whatever. But I had no, like you're saying, you miss her presence. And I'll miss the opportunity to repair that. That's really all that I grieved with him is the opportunity to repair in a place that I could have made a bigger difference in his life that I wasn't allowed to do. I did try many times, and it was a no, and I had to respect the no. I really had to respect his no, and sometimes it pissed me off. His no, like I see you running over a cliff, and I'm telling you, there's a cliff, and you just are hell bent to run over it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, okay, I don't understand, but that it's not for me to always understand.
Right.
And so, being able to watch the people around that, he was still very close to, and his daughter, and his second wife, my sister-in-law, his first wife, very close to her. She was more like a sister than he was a brother to me. And we were very close since I was like 15 years old.
Wow.
So I've known her my entire life. And she was still in a relationship with Randy her entire life after they got a divorce.
Wow.
Even though he was in a relationship with somebody else.
Yeah.
So she continued that relationship always. And it was interesting after he died, it was like she was freed from that. For I don't know, I'm making that up, but that was my experience of her, that she didn't take it like I thought she would. It was different, but I don't believe that we're gone after.
What do you mean she was freed from it? Or what your perspective,
my
thought
perspective
is?
That she was freed from the grief of that relationship, because now nobody had him.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like
that makes sense. That'll hit a woman different than a man.
Yeah,
we got it.
Like he was in a life with somebody else,
right?
And now, nobody gets him now. So she didn't have to grieve that as well. So there's I saw freedom in her. I felt the freedom from her, whether she's conscious of it or not, I don't know, but I felt that for her. But she, the whole entire transition and am I going to see this person again? There's a lot of beliefs around that. That what I believe and what I've had experience with personal in my body in this now, here and now, that they're still right here. They really are. They're available for us. Like, I've said this before on the show, that I have more of a relationship with my father-in-law since he died than when he was here. Because there's no barriers anymore. It's not all the noise that we have between our ears, that this brain that can be the disconnection. It's supposed to be the connection. It's the disconnection. And then getting back to here where the connection actually is.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. Because my sister and I have always known each other. She's 15 years and 6 days older than me, which she remembers. She may not remember anything other than, I'm 15 years and 6 days older than you, Missy. I'm like, yes, ma'am. And we lived together a few times, and we've had some great memories together, some of which she doesn't remember, but I still remember some, thank goodness. But over the last 10 years or so, I think I've been more intuitive than I was in the past. And I listen differently. And prior to that, I heard and I knew things. And I remember one time being at a concert and I knew God said, go home. I'm like, okay. I told her, I said, I got to go. So I just left and went home. And my sister at the time was 300 something pounds.
Oh, wow.
Standing there, literally waiting for me to walk in the door. It's like midnight. She's standing there. I walk in, I'm like, what happened? What's wrong? Like I knew something was going on. And she had been reading the Bible and another book at the same time. And she drifted off and she woke up with her physical body up in the air doing this, twirling around. And she's like, let me down. I'm like, she was like, what the heck? Because it was actual real happening. And at the time, all she said was Jesus. And when she spoke the word Jesus, her body dropped back to the bed. And she's like, and that was it. She was awake. She was up. That's it. Waiting for her sister. And so when I got home anyway, we went through some steps I probably wouldn't do today, but I did then because that's all I knew. And so we had some things like, you can hear, you can know, you can see. And was it God telling me to go home, or was it her intuitively going, Donna, you need to get here and I need to talk to you? Don't know. Because to me now, it's like it's almost the same.
I agree with
it's
you.
almost the same. It's like the more I get to know who I believe God is, the more I get to know myself. And the more I get to know myself, the more I get to know the God within. And there are some, and I'm not here yet. I'm not to this place yet. I'm just letting you know, in my growing and changing, there's some believe that one is the same. You're God. What I can say about that is I do believe that God is separate yet the same. And that there are some things about God, of course, that I have not yet attained. There's some things that happen that a God or our God or the Christ is evident in what the capability is in that person that I have not yet been able to do, you know. But I think that also is because I'm not being enough to do that. And I don't mean works. I just mean, like, sometimes people have this supernatural thing, like Craig and I have a supernatural relationship. It's just crazy. Even when we got married, Pastor Bob looked across us when he was praying for it, and he's like, y'all are already married. Like, we were already married. We had not had a physical relationship yet. We were already married because we're supernaturally in union. Even when we're ticked off at each other, we're like, fine, because we're in union. So there's a union space, I think. But you get to know each other by spending time in the union space. I think that there's no disconnect with the God within, but there's a disconnect with us with that God, because we're not taking the time. Like, I love our time together, but we don't get to see each other often, and we text here and there, but we don't really. But if we like have chat time, which I'm fixing to institute, on the calendar, we'll get to know each other more and more and more. See, when we went to Aruba and spent time together on the beach, I learned some things about you. I'm like, oh, it was very interesting, but it was personal things you learn. I think there's personal things about God we can learn because he's so vast and so real, and everybody lives inside of him. Come on, how diverse is that?
Yes, and you have to acknowledge the relationship.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's good. Yeah. Yes. And so if you don't, but then at the same time, before I ever acknowledged a relationship, at least consciously, I was hearing from the voice within.
Yes, that's what I mean.
I was already hearing.
Bring it, because it's not separate.
Yeah.
It's already there. Whether you can hear it or not is part of it.
I think we cultivate it, right?
Yes, or whether you're accepting that it's so. And a lot of the times it's the programming that's getting in
the way.
The way it occurs to me is like there's this pure sound, this pure frequency. It's always playing, always. And then we have all this static and all these other radio stations playing over it where we can't hear it anymore, versus starting to turn that one down and turn that one completely off.
So we can tune in.
Yeah.
So we started out earlier at the beginning with me crying. Sorry about that.
Shocker
that. But
I love that about you. I really do. I love how open with your emotions you are.
Well, I do emotional transformation for people. Can you believe that? Anyway, that's almost laughable, but it works. Anyway, the reason I was saying that is because from the beginning, what the word within me was hope, like the word hope. And for those Bible thumpers there in the Old Covenant, when you look up the word hope, the meaning of hope is so amazing. Like, there are so many words for the word hope. Like, it means an entwining, like one ends and the other begins and it never, it's such a rich meaning. But enter the new covenant. There's only a couple words. It means a bold confidence. So there's some scriptures in the new covenant. And listen, y'all know, I don't believe that it's for us. It's for them. It was for them, but it can mean rich things for us. And I was thinking about my sister and thinking about how she must ponder sometimes what awaits. And all I can say is, in the new covenant when they talk about the hope within. And the hope that was to come. That hope, that bold confidence lives within her. The union with bold confidence. The union with the one who lives inside of her. The union of the voice she hears. Because she does hear the voice. And that union is already in place.
Yep.
Even with the mind drifting. That when she awakens from the bold confidence, in the bold confidence, that she'll remember, oh yeah, I remember.
Mm-hmm.
You've never left me. You've never forsaken me. You never would. You never did. And here I am with you as if I never left because I never did. Anyway, those are thoughts for you to consider.